My high school bully tried to blackmail me as an adult, so I used my data firm to expose his plagiarized business and sabotaged college passed to the entire industry. My name is Leo, and for the first 18 years of my life, the hallways of Northwood High were a gauntlet I had to run every single day. I was the quiet scholarship kid with glasses that were too big for my face and a paralyzing stutter that emerged whenever I was nervous, which was always. My sanctuary was the library, the computer lab, the quiet hum of a server rack, any place where I could lose myself in the clean, logical world of code, where syntax didn't judge you and a bug was a problem with a solution, not a character flaw. My tormentor was Jason Thorne. He wasn't just a bully, he was an institution. The golden boy quarterback with a smile that could disarm teachers and a cruelty that could shatter souls. He was the sun around which the social solar system of Northwood High revolved, and I was a distant frozen rock, worthless except for the occasional shadow I could cast for his amusement. The pattern of injustice wasn't a series of isolated incidents, it was the very atmosphere I breathed. There was the time in freshman biology when I finally gathered the courage to answer a question about mitosis. My stutter seized my tongue, turning cell division into a humiliating, drawn-out spectacle. Jason, from the back of the class, started a slow, rhythmic clap that the entire room joined until the teacher, Mr. Harris, weakly said, Now, class," and never actually disciplined Jason. There was the charity car wash Jason organized junior year, where he and his football teammates accidentally backed me into a corner and dumped 5 ice-cold buckets of soapy water on me while someone filmed it. The video, titled "Washing the Nerd Stink Off," was shared across the school. The teachers saw it. The principal saw it. Jason was given a light talking to about school spirit. I was given a week of whispered laughter and soaked textbooks. The most damaging flashback, the one that still echoed in my dreams, was from the college application season. I had poured my soul into my application for the prestigious Armstrong Institute of Technology, my dream school. My grades were perfect, my SATs were sky high, and my portfolio of self-made software was, I believed, my ticket out. Jason, whose grades were mediocre at best, was also applying, leveraging his father's alumni status and his football potential. The day our acceptance letters were due online, I couldn't access my portal. My password had been changed. By the time I got it reset through customer service, the deadline had passed. My application was marked incomplete. I was rejected. Jason was accepted with a full athletic scholarship. He sought me out in the cafeteria, his letter in hand. "Looks like brains don't always beat brawn, huh, Leo?" he said, his friends laughing. "Some of us are just meant for bigger things." My sanctuary wasn't a place in those days. It was a future. It was the promise of getting out, of going to a university where I could be someone else, where my mind would matter more than my malfunctioning vocal cords. Jason didn't just steal my lunch money. He tried to steal that future. He was the living, breathing embodiment of the unforgivable truth that the world often rewards the cruel and punishes the quiet. I did eventually get into a good state school, but the sting of that lost opportunity, the theft of that specific dream, became a quiet, burning coal in the pit of my soul. I worked, I studied, I graduated at the top of my class. The stutter faded as my confidence grew, replaced by a calm, deliberate way of speaking. I co-founded a cybersecurity and data analytics firm with my college roommate, Maya. We called it Aegis Solutions. We didn't build flashy apps for consumers. We built digital fortresses for corporations, and we built tools that could find the truth hidden in mountains of data. We became successful, wealthy in a way Jason and his football buddies could never have imagined. My sanctuary was now my company, my reputation, and the profound peace that came with financial and professional independence. I never forgot, but I had moved on. Or so I thought. The invitation was a glossy, embossed envelope for my 10-year high school reunion. My first instinct was to shred it. But Maya, who knew my history, convinced me. "Leo, you're a CEO. You're a success by any metric. You have to go. It's the ultimate power move." Reluctantly, I agreed. I bought a suit that cost more than my first car and went. The reunion was a surreal experience. The same cliques had reassembled, just with receding hairlines and expanding waistlines. And then I saw him, Jason Thorne. He was still handsome, but there was a softness around his jaw, a desperation in his eyes that his too hearty laugh couldn't conceal. The word was that his football career had ended in college with a knee injury. He had bounced around a few sales jobs and was now, ironically, a motivational speaker and life coach, trading on his faded high school glory. He spotted me across the room. His eyes widened in mock surprise. "Well, I'll be damned. Leo, look at you!" He clapped me on the back, a little too hard. "Heard you're some kind of computer whiz now. Good for you, man, really. Good for you." The condescension was a familiar, oily film. I gave him a tight, polite smile. "Jason." He latched onto me for the rest of the night, a parasitic reminder of the past. He introduced me to people as my old buddy Leo the Brainiac, always with that subtle jab, ensuring everyone remembered my place in the old hierarchy. Then, as the night was winding down, he cornered me by the bar. "Look, Leo, I'm not gonna lie," he said, his voice dropping into a conspiratorial tone. "I'm in a bit of a bind. My speaking business, it's a feast or famine game. I've got a chance to land a huge corporate contract, a year-long wellness and leadership program. It would set me up for life." "I'm sure you'll do fine," I said, trying to extricate myself. "That's the thing," he said, leaning in. "The client, they do intense due diligence. They use a fancy data analytics firm to vet all their partners. And your company, Aegis, you're on their shortlist. It would mean the world to me, as an old friend, if you could put in a good word. Maybe smooth over any rough edges they might find." The audacity was breathtaking. He was asking me, the person he had systematically tortured for years, to be a character witness for his fraudulent leadership brand, to use my company's hard-earned reputation to vouch for his. "I don't think that's appropriate, Jason," I said, my voice cold. His smile vanished, replaced by the sneer I remembered so well. "Come on, Leo, don't be like that. We were kids. It was all in good fun. You need to learn to let things go." He paused, his eyes glinting. Besides, it would be a shame if people in our industry heard that the great Leo, the tech genius, was still just a stuttering, pathetic little nerd who pissed his pants in the locker room after a practical joke. "Perception is everything, right?" This was the line in the sand. He wasn't just asking for a favor, he was demanding my compliance and threatening to resurrect the humiliated boy I'd been if I refused. He was trying to violate my adult sanctuary, the life I had built, with the weapons of our shared past. The old hurt and fear rose in my throat, threatening to bring back the stutter. But then I looked at him, a middle-aged man trying to blackmail his way to success, and the fear didn't paralyze me. It clarified. The emotion didn't erupt. It underwent a profound phase change, from volatile gas to solid, crystalline resolve. The shift was silent and absolute. I looked him dead in the eye, my gaze steady. "No, Jason," I said, my voice clear and devoid of any tremor. "I don't need to let anything go, and you will not be using my company or my name," his face contorted with rage. "You'll regret this, you little shit. I'll make sure of it. Regret this, you little shit. I'll make sure of it." I turned and walked away, the noise of the reunion fading behind me. I didn't go home. I went to my office, the quiet, dark space with its wall of monitors. I sat in my chair, the hum of the machines a comforting symphony. The time for being a victim was over. It was time to run a different kind of program. It was time to gather evidence. My first call was to Maya. I recounted the entire conversation, my voice flat and analytical. There was a long, furious silence on her end. "He threatened to defame you to sabotage our business." "Leo, that's not just a personal attack. Oh, that's corporate warfare. We have a fiduciary duty to protect Aegis. We fight this. And we don't fight it like you're a bullied kid. We fight it like he's a hostile entity trying to damage our asset," which he is. My second call was to our internal legal counsel, a sharp, unflappable woman named Sarah Jenkins. In my office the next morning, I laid it all out for her. The history, the reunion, the threat. Sarah listened, her expression neutral. From a legal standpoint, his threat is extortionate, but it's your word against his. To truly neutralize him as a threat, we need to do more than just defend. We need to demonstrate conclusively that his brand is a fraud. We need to make him unmarketable. We use what we're best at, data. The gathering of evidence began. It was the most satisfying project I had ever undertaken. Step 1. The digital paper trail. Jason's life was, unsurprisingly, an open book on social media. But we went deeper. Using entirely legal, open-source intelligence, OSINT tools, we began building a profile. We scraped every public post, every comment, every tagged photo from the last decade, We found his motivational posts, which were all plagiarized from other, more famous speakers. We used facial recognition software to cross-reference his claimed corporate speaking events with publicly available attendee photos. Many were at tiny, virtually non-existent organizations or were stock photos. Step 2. The financial forensics. Through publicly available business records and some clever data correlation, Maya built a financial model of his business. It was a house of cards. He was drowning in debt. The huge corporate contract he mentioned was likely his last chance at solvency. We documented every lien, every lawsuit from unpaid vendors, every instance of his company changing its name to escape its reputation. Step 3. The human intelligence. I reached out discreetly to a few other people from high school who I knew had been on the receiving end of Jason's cruelty. One, a woman named Chloe, whom he had mercilessly mocked for her weight, was now a successful journalist. She was more than willing to help, providing a sworn statement about his behavior and his well-known habit of lying and embellishing his achievements. Another, a guy named Ben he had bullied for being gay, was a paralegal and helped Sarah draft airtight legal documents. Step 4. The legal fortification. Sarah didn't wait for him to act. She drafted a cease and desist letter that was a masterpiece of legal intimidation. It formally demanded he retract his threat and never mention my name or Aegis Solutions again. It also included a thinly veiled warning that we possessed a comprehensive dossier on his business practices and personal history, which we would not hesitate to make public if he engaged in any defamatory activity. We had him served at his home. The shift within me was profound. The quiet coder was now the architect of a complex, multi-layered operation. The anxiety was gone, replaced by the cool, methodical thrill of a perfectly executed plan. We had built a digital sword of Damocles, and we were ready to cut the thread. Jason, predictably, did not take the cease and desist letter well. He responded not with a lawyer, but with a drunken, rage-filled voicemail on my office phone, full of profanity and renewed threats. It was a gift. We had it transcribed and added to our file. He then made his fatal mistake. He went on a local podcast, one that catered to hustle culture, and gave a tearful, manipulative interview about facing adversity and being attacked by jealous people from your past who can't handle your success. He didn't name me, but he heavily implied it was a tech bro from high school who was trying to destroy him out of jealousy. It was the opening we needed. The reckoning would not happen in a courtroom, but in the court of public opinion. We didn't sue him. We didn't yell. We simply published the truth. Chloe, the journalist, broke the story on her reputable online platform. The headline was, "The Bully as Guru, the False Narrative of Jason Thorne." The article was a clinical evisceration. It laid out, with cold precision, all the evidence we had gathered. The side-by-side comparisons of his plagiarized motivational posts, the documentation of his fabricated speaking engagements, the detailed account of his financial insolvency and litigious history, sworn testimonies from Chloe, Ben, and 2 others about his pathological lying and sustained bullying in high school, and, with my permission, the story of the college application sabotage, presented not as a plea for sympathy, but as a data point in a long-established pattern of unethical behavior. We included the audio of his threatening voicemail. The evidence cascade was public, undeniable, and devastating. The collapse was swift and total. The podcast took down the interview. The corporate client he was pursuing immediately dropped him. His other clients fled. His social media accounts were flooded with comments from angry former classmates corroborating the story. The life coach who had built his brand on being a triumphant hero was exposed as a fraudulent, desperate bully. The enabling force of his charm and lies was shattered by the sheer weight of factual data. There were no legal consequences for him, but the social and financial repercussions were absolute. His business was finished. His reputation was destroyed. He became a punchline, a cautionary tale about the internet's long memory. The bully was finally, publicly, and permanently dethroned. In the aftermath, I felt no euphoria, only a deep, quiet sense of closure. The burning coal of resentment that had smoldered for a decade was finally extinguished. I hadn't just gotten revenge, I had established the truth. Aegis Solutions saw a brief surge of positive press for upholding integrity. I donated the speaking fees from the ensuing publicity to an anti-bullying charity and a scholarship fund for students from my old high school who wanted to pursue tech. The true peace, however, was internal. The lesson I learned was coded into my very being, that the past doesn't define you unless you let it, and that the best defense is not to hide your weaknesses, but to build such formidable strengths that those weaknesses become irrelevant. I learned that no is a powerful firewall, and that protecting your peace is the ultimate form of success. My story is one of reclamation. I reclaimed my narrative, my power, and the future that Jason had once tried to steal. The greatest revenge was not his public humiliation, but the profound, unshakable confidence I gained from facing down my oldest demon and winning not with fists, but with facts. The quiet kid who found solace in code had used that code to write a final, definitive ending to a painful chapter. If you believe in standing up for yourself, in using your unique strengths to protect the life you've built no matter who you're standing up to, then you belong here with us. Make sure you like this story, subscribe to the Revenge Stories for more tales of justice, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that the most satisfying victories are often won not in the loud, crowded arenas, but in the quiet, deliberate spaces where truth is compiled and bullies are finally debugged. For the most secure systems are not those without a past, but those that have been thoroughly scanned, patched, and fortified against every known vulnerability.